Get lost, you defective infertile product. I'm divorcing you, you ugly hag. With sneers of utter disdain, these two, my husband Theodore and my best friend Chloe, directed such cruel smiles at me. I had been deceived by them for so long. Behind my back, they looked down on me and did atrocious things. Despite my trust in them, their betrayal was too harsh. They must think of me as a trivial nobody. Enjoying mocking me, thinking of me as a toy that can be broken. But I am a human being with feelings. It's essential they understand that. Clenching my resolve, I took a deep breath. My name is Lily Swift, a 37-year-old homemaker. Coming from an average family, I was born between my gentle mother, similar to me, and my father who always led her. I have a brother who is 4 years older and significantly smarter than me. I've always been somewhat spacey and not great at studying. Lily is kind to others, isn't she? I'm not so much. Is that so? I think you're kind. That's because you're my family. Despite struggling with studies, Lily, you have many good qualities. He comforted me when I couldn't score well on tests. Our parents raised us without favoritism, allowing me to grow up without feeling complex about my intelligence, and I proceeded through high school. Not being university material, I started working at a local company after graduation. That's where I met Theodore. Being with you settles my heart. At that time, lacking romantic opportunities, I attended a speed dating party. Theodore and I met there, hit it off, and started dating when I was 28. Our relationship smoothly progressed, and we married when I was 29. I will definitely make you happy. Theodore's proposal had me over the moon, convinced of our happy future together. But then, you're really stupid, aren't you? Can't you think and do this much on your own? He'd retort to my simple requests. Lately, Theodore had been belittling me, calling me stupid at every opportunity. True, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. But did he need to speak to me like that just because I asked for a little help around the house since I'm busy with work? As if your job is anything significant. Or maybe it's you're working outside, that's why we can't have kids. Moreover, lately, Theodore had been blaming me for our inability to conceive. If it were something I could achieve through effort alone, I'd do anything. It's clear that the lack of children is due to Theodore's lack of cooperation. My only outlet was venting to my best friend Chloe. Things haven't been great with my husband lately. You're too kind, Lily. Maybe he's taking your kindness for granted? Chloe has been my friend since high school. Unlike me, Chloe is assertive, quite beautiful, and I often wonder why someone like her would be friends with me. Speaking of wonders, it's also curious that Chloe, despite having a desire to marry, is still single. She's beautiful, a great cook, considerate, and seems to have no flaws. Well, marriage is a personal choice, and it's not my place to comment. Thanks for listening, Chloe. I'm blessed to have a good friend like you. Oh, what a sweet thing to say. Joking and laughing with Chloe like this saves my heart. One day. How about we go on a trip for our anniversary this year? I'm busy, so Lily, could you plan it? Theodore suddenly suggested that. We used to travel to various places early in our marriage, but I haven't gone out with Theodore for years. What's gotten into him? Despite wondering this, I felt excited planning a trip after such a long time. Even though Theodore often mocks me, I don't dislike him. I want to go out with him and spend enjoyable time together as much as possible. With that thought, I meticulously planned our anniversary trip. This inn looks nice. But it's fully booked. The inn I found after much searching, thinking Theodore would like it, was fully booked, with a waiting list for cancellations. On a whim, I applied for a cancellation waitlist and a few days later, got a call that a reservation had become available. Yay! This will make for the best anniversary. I was so happy at the moment, I almost started humming. The inn not only has a good atmosphere but is also renowned for its cuisine. It had been featured on national TV, and my expectations were sky high. A week before the trip, I was in such a good mood. smiling and laughing during dinner when Theodore asked with a puzzled voice. "You've been in a good mood lately. Did something nice happen?" I realized then I hadn't told Theodore about securing the inn and, still smiling, I opened my mouth. "Actually, for our anniversary trip, I found a nice place. It's an inn you'd like. The food is supposed to be delicious, so I'm really looking forward to it." However, Theodore frowned deeply at this. "Anniversary trip? What are you talking about?" Why are you planning something like that on your own?" "I've got plans on our anniversary." I was bewildered by Theodore's unexpected words. "But you were the one who suggested we go on a trip." "I never said that. Don't blame me for your misunderstanding," he retorted, visibly irritated. Despite still eating, he put down his fork, indicating he was done. "Make sure you pay the cancellation fee," he said before retreating to his room. I could only stare at Theodore's back in disbelief. He had completely forgotten what he said and pinned his forgetfulness on me. Moreover, to schedule something else on our important anniversary. It's one thing if it was for work, but that day was a holiday. Theodore's actions were too cruel, leaving me saddened and looking down. I've lost my appetite. Eventually, I too left my meal untouched and just went to bed that night. And then, on our anniversary, Theodore woke up earlier than me and started getting ready to go out. Without telling me where he was going, he left the house in a good mood. In the end, I spent our anniversary alone. It was the first time I felt so miserable on our anniversary. Since graduating from high school, I've been working at a certain local company. On the other hand, Theodore has been working at the company his parents run. He's supposed to take over his parents' company eventually, but I've heard that the business hasn't been doing well lately. We're in a situation where we can't live without relying on my earnings. However, my in-laws don't seem to care about that and sometimes call me over to complain about me. It's hard to refuse since it's usually framed as an invitation for tea, so I end up going every time. I really want to see my grandchild soon, Lily. You need to try harder. Instead of working outside, you should stay at home and support Theodore. Then, you'll have children in no time," said my mother-in-law Kinsley, to which I've become quite accustomed. If I were to say that I work because Theodore's earnings are insufficient, my mother-in-law would fly into a rage. In fact, when I once tried to mention something along those lines, she berated me as if she was about to hit me. My mother-in-law has a rather fierce personality and is quick to resort to violence. So, it's best to stay silent in such situations. I just don't understand what young people are thinking these days. Do they only care about themselves? In my day, it was natural to support one's husband. Glancing at my mother-in-law, I noticed a hint of pleasure on her face. Seeing me silently listening to her lecture seemed to satisfy her. Like Theodore, she seems to enjoy lecturing me about how I am a failure. Then basks in self-satisfaction, thinking she is better than me. They probably do this unconsciously, using me to boost themselves. Pointing it out would only anger them, so I kept my dissatisfaction to myself and silently listened to my mother-in-law's lecture today as well. I came home exhausted from being called out by my mother-in-law, and Theodore added insult to injury. "You're late. Where have you been? Where's my dinner?" "I was called by your mother today, so I bought some takeout." "Huh? You're always cutting corners, aren't you?" I almost retorted that it was his mother's fault, but I swallowed my words in a hurry. Days like this make me want to see my best friend Chloe. It's been a while. Shall we have tea sometime? Lately, Chloe has been busy too, and we haven't been able to meet for a while. Soon after, I received a message from Chloe, but again, she couldn't meet, which made me feel dejected. It seems she's been feeling unwell recently. Well, if she's not feeling well, it can't be helped. Looking forward to the day I can meet Chloe again helps me get through these gloomy days. A few months later, I haven't been called out by my mother-in-law recently, which made my days a bit more peaceful, but Theodore remains the same. He comes home late and whenever he opens his mouth, it's just to insult me. Just when I thought I was reaching my limit, I received a message from Chloe wanting to meet after a long time. However, when I went to the meeting place with Chloe, an unexpected turn of events was waiting for me.
Chloe, you're pregnant.
There she was, Chloe with a big belly. She looked at me with a smile as I gaped in surprise.
Yes, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. So, that's why you said you were feeling unwell and couldn't meet.
Despite my surprise, I sat down across from Chloe and celebrated her pregnancy with a smile.
Congratulations, Chloe. She's going to be a beauty just like you. Oh, do you not know the gender yet? Lily, you're getting ahead of yourself. By the way, aren't you going to ask who the father is?
Indeed, I was curious. Chloe was unmarried and I hadn't heard about her having a boyfriend. However, I hesitated to ask such a personal question and had decided not to inquire. When I told her this, Chloe laughed and replied,
I'll introduce you to him next time. Really? I'm looking forward to it.
Then, a week later, at a cafe Chloe had called me to, I was greeted by Chloe and Theodore.
What's going on?
As I stood there dumbfounded, the two of them couldn't hold back and burst into laughter. Then, while laughing, they told me something unbelievable.
Can't believe you really didn't notice. Theodore and I have been dating since right after you two got married. When I was introduced as your best friend at the wedding, I fell for her at first sight. Unlike you, who's ugly and dumb, Chloe is beautiful and smart. I've been planning to divorce you and marry Chloe,
Theodore said while handing me a piece of paper. It was a filled-out divorce form. Inferior infertile product, disappear. Chloe, with a twisted smile I had never seen before, proudly stroked her bulging belly.
I'm divorcing the ugly hag.
Theodore put his arm around Chloe and looked down at me with a smug smile. Had I been deceived by them all this time? Both had been mocking me behind my back. Despite my trust in them, it was a betrayal too cruel to accept. They probably thought of me as a trivial nobody, enjoying mocking me, considering me as a toy that could be broken. But I am a human being with emotions. They need to understand that. With a firm resolve, I took a deep breath. Fine, let's get divorced. I picked up the pen and, without hesitation, signed the divorce papers.
I don't have the seal with me, so I'll take it home and submit it myself. Is that okay?
Their faces went blank, perhaps not expecting my response. But soon, they regained their composure and sneered at me again.
Right, let's leave the troublesome stuff to her. We're going to buy wedding rings after this and then visit your parents to greet them. Yeah, make sure you submit it, okay? And move out of my house as soon as possible.
Understood. With that, I quickly left the place. Theodore and Chloe watched me go, sneering unpleasantly. The next day, after the shocking revelation, I was packing my things at the apartment Theodore and I had been living in. Theodore had claimed it was his place, but it was just a modest apartment. Not too expensive due to its small size. Theodore hadn't come home since then. After getting home, I stamped the divorce papers and submitted them to the city hall. They were accepted without issue, and Theodore and I were officially strangers to each other. Since I didn't have many belongings, I thought I could finish packing and leave by the end of the day. However, I nearly jumped out of my skin when the door suddenly burst open with a loud noise. Turning around, I saw Theodore, pale as a ghost.
What's wrong?
I asked, noticing his unusual demeanor. He rushed over to me and grabbed my shoulders, shouting,
Why didn't you tell me? Your brother was trying to buy out our company, wasn't he? But since we got divorced, the acquisition talks were halted, and now our company is in jeopardy.
Ah, so that's what this is about. Indeed, my brother had been preparing to buy out my in-laws' company for some time. My smart brother went to a prestigious university and quickly started his own company after working for a major corporation. His company had grown significantly due to his intelligence. In the industry, he's regarded as a rising star. One day, I mentioned to him that my in-laws' company was struggling. And he made an incredible offer.
Then, for your sake, our company will buy it out.
He intended to help manage the company by acquiring it. Since that proposal, my in-laws stopped calling me over to complain, likely fearing that any mistreatment could jeopardize the acquisition. However, they never directly thanked me or acknowledged my help, probably too proud to lower their heads to their daughter-in-law. I thought my in-laws had informed Theodore about this, but it seems they hadn't. Whether they forgot, assumed I would tell him, or couldn't accept that I, whom they had looked down upon, was actually helping. Regardless of the reason, their failure to inform Theodore led to this situation.
After taking Chloe to meet my parents to announce our divorce and her pregnancy, my mom went berserk.
According to him, they went straight to his parents' house after buying engagement rings to announce their marriage plans. But instead of celebrating, the sight of Chloe's pregnant belly made my mother-in-law mutter in a trembling voice,
"Are you the cause?" "What? No. What are you doing?"
She accused Chloe of being at fault and attempted to assault her. But Theodore managed to restrain her. My mother-in-law's frenzy had a reason. After submitting the divorce papers, I had called my brother to inform him, and he decided to halt the acquisition of my in-laws' company.
"I tried to help because he was your husband's parent, but now that we're divorced, there's no reason to. Buying that company wouldn't bring any significant benefit to us. It would only cost time, effort, and money for restructuring,"
my brother said over the phone, probably immediately notifying my in-laws that the acquisition was off. And so, the two unsuspecting people arrived at my in-laws' house, leading to my mother-in-law's meltdown. The reason I hadn't told Theodore about my brother was that Theodore had been coming home late recently, and we hadn't had the chance to talk properly. Probably, he was late because he was meeting with Chloe. Even when I tried to find the time to talk, Theodore hardly listened. Seeing his attitude, I figured the in-laws would tell him, so I gave up on the conversation. In any case, Theodore has only himself to blame for this situation. That's what happened. I finished explaining, and Theodore let go of my shoulder, slumping down powerlessly.
"No way, was our company in that much trouble?" "Wait, you didn't know about the company your parents run?"
I asked incredulously. Theodore replied flusteredly,
I'm mostly out on sales visits, so I'm not much at the company."
"That's no excuse. Normally, you would know.
Or were you just playing around under the guise of sales visits?"
"Ah, I see.
Using the time for sales visits to cheat with Chloe, right?"
Theodore awkwardly averted his eyes at my accusation. Hitting the mark. I'm disgusted. I believed in you, you know?
I thought, despite the company's troubles, you, as the future CEO, would be working hard to support it. I thought your late nights were because of your dedication to work. I trusted you, and you betrayed me.
My cold voice made Theodore go pale. Only now did he seem to grasp the gravity of his situation.
"I'm sorry. I didn't know anything. I had no idea you were trying to save our company. I'm truly sorry."
Theodore was apologizing and sweating profusely. "Can you move?
You're in the way of my packing."
I ignored Theodore and resumed packing. I had never been this cold to Theodore before, so he was probably shocked. He looked up at me, disbelief written all over his face.
"What's with that look?" "What? But I'm apologizing here. Why are you being so cold?"
Theodore muttered in disbelief. I sighed heavily with exasperation.
"So, what? You think a mere apology is enough to heal the heart you betrayed? If that's what you think, your apology is cheap."
I stopped packing for a moment and turned to face Theodore directly.
"Let me make it clear, since you still don't seem to understand. No matter how much you apologize, my brother will abandon your parents' company. Whatever happens to it, neither my brother nor I care. And your apology means nothing to me. No matter how much you beg, I won't listen to you." "But, we were married!" "You know, have you forgotten what you did yesterday? The divorce papers have already been submitted. You and I are strangers now. There's no reason for me to help someone who betrayed and hurt me by teaming up with his affair partner.
My absolute rejection made Theodore tremble. I watched him with a detached gaze.
That's the situation, so give it up. You'll have to figure out the company on your own.
I thought Theodore would understand by now. But he reacted in an unexpected way.
You son of a, sitting there all high and mighty. Ah! What are you doing? Don't you dare look down on me, you slow-witted idiot.
Incredibly, Theodore grabbed a magazine that was lying around and threw it at me.
Stop it!
Despite my plea, Theodore continued to throw things at me. Then, he even grabbed a vase from the table, attempting to hurl it my way. If that had hit me, it would have been more than just an injury. Frozen in fear, all I could do was protect my head with my arms. It wasn't me who stopped him, but the arms of a third party.
What are you doing to my sister?
It was my brother who stopped Theodore. His grip on Theodore seemed very strong, causing Theodore to tremble. And my brother's face was red with anger. My brother being here wasn't a coincidence. He was supposed to come over to help me pack today. Probably, he rang the intercom while Theodore and I were arguing. Finding no response, he entered and found Theodore in a rage.
My brother-in-law! I have no memory of being called your brother.
My brother snapped back. Theodore's face turned pale again at my brother's sudden appearance. This was a situation he couldn't talk his way out of.
You were trying to harm not just my sister's heart, but her body as well? I'll never forgive you.
My brother's intimidating presence made Theodore nearly cry. My brother then roughly shook off Theodore's arm. Theodore collapsed miserably to the floor. And when he finally managed to stand up, still pale, he declared,
Enough! I've had it. I don't need any of you. I'll turn my company around myself.
At Theodore's declaration, my brother slightly frowned.
Oh? That's some courage. But what can you do when you've hardly been involved in running the company? When I went to discuss the acquisition, you never once showed up to the meetings. Running a business isn't a game.
My brother's sharp words made Theodore falter for a moment. However, Theodore quickly glared back at my brother and boasted somewhat proudly.
I have a new wife. And in her belly, my precious child. Not some ugly, dumb woman like your sister. A beautiful, smart, and absolutely wonderful wife. For my family, I'll overcome any adversity.
Theodore puffed out his chest as he said this. My brother was on the verge of exploding in anger at the insult to me, but instead, I spoke up.
Sorry to burst your bubble while you're soaking in your own words. But your beloved new wife is cheating on you. What?
Theodore, who had been smug a moment ago, let out a dumbfounded sound. He clearly didn't know, and I sighed softly.
I heard it from a mutual friend of Chloe and me.
After filing the divorce papers, not only did I contact my brother, but I also reached out to mutual friends of Chloe and me. Some of them, whom I've kept in touch with since high school, I thought it best to inform them just in case. One of them shocked me with the truth.
She was bragging about having several men behind your back. She even boasted about you as one of them. Lately, all she talks about is how she's going to be a CEO's wife, making everyone so fed up they decided to cut ties with her.
Knowing Chloe had stolen my husband, our friends decided to cut her off. Then they sent me proof of her multiple affairs, including photos Chloe had bragged about, via a messaging app. And here's the photo. When I showed Theodore the screen of my smartphone, his face gradually turned into an expression of despair. The photo I showed him depicted Chloe, smiling and cozying up to a man I didn't recognize. I had always wondered why Chloe never got married. Now, I felt like I finally understood the reason. Chloe was too busy playing around with multiple men to even think about settling down. Her decision to marry Theodore was probably because he was set to become the CEO of his family's company. After all, she has always been fond of money. Since becoming an adult, she often splurged, and I remember several instances where she borrowed money from other friends. Theodore's company was in dire straits, but I hadn't told Chloe about it, and Theodore himself was unaware of the company's precarious situation. Without knowing anything, Chloe stole Theodore from me, dreaming of becoming a CEO's wife.
Hey, are you sure the child in Chloe's belly is actually yours?
Given her affairs with multiple men, the chances of Theodore being the father were slim. When confronted with this reality, Theodore collapsed and started sobbing uncontrollably.
I trusted her. She betrayed me.
My brother and I looked down on the crying Theodore with cold eyes.
You have the nerve to say that in front of my sister, who you betrayed first. She trusted you.
Theodore seemed shocked by his words, as if he only now understood how I felt being betrayed.
Lily, I'm sorry, can we talk again?
However, I firmly rejected Theodore's plea.
What is there left to talk about? Absolutely not. After yesterday's incident, I've grown to dislike seeing your face or hearing your voice. Got it? So, don't open your mouth again. It's nothing but unpleasant for me.
Theodore could only look at me, tears streaming down his face, utterly stunned. Later, my brother and I finished packing and went back to our parents' house. While my parents were concerned for me, being able to completely reject Theodore made me feel considerably relieved. As for Theodore and Chloe, when Theodore confronted her about the affair, she insisted that the baby was definitely his. However, the baby born was a black-haired, black-eyed infant, not even remotely resembling Theodore or a pure American. Furious, Theodore broke up with Chloe.
Fine. Your company is in serious trouble anyway, right? I was only interested in your status. If I can't be a CEO's wife, then you're useless to me.
She retorted, and they ended their relationship in a massive argument. It seems Chloe never truly loved Theodore. After the divorce, Theodore sent me several messages asking to reconcile, but I ignored them. However, his constant pestering led me to finally respond.
If you keep bothering me, I'll consult a lawyer.
After that, his messages stopped abruptly. Incidentally, I've already consulted a lawyer for a different matter. That matter is a claim for damages against Theodore and Chloe for their affair. I've gathered solid evidence of the affair, and my lawyer has assured me that we can definitely claim damages. After that, I filed a claim for damages against both of them. Theodore, whose company's management has become seriously unstable and without my financial support, seems to be struggling quite a bit. He tried to fuss with the lawyer about not being able to pay, but after being threatened with a lawsuit, he somehow managed to come up with the money. Chloe, who had been living a lavish lifestyle, almost drained her savings to pay the damages. She sought help from mutual friends, but they all refused and blocked her contact, as they told me. Incidentally, I also received a message from Chloe begging for forgiveness.
I truly regret what happened. The child wasn't his. It was just a moment of folly with him. I'm out of money, and both my child and I are suffering. So, could you please return even a little of the damages paid?
To such Chloe, I responded mercilessly.
Do you know the word shameless? That word describes you right now. How dare you contact me with such a request? I won't return the damages. Your current hardship is entirely your own doing.
After replying, I blocked Chloe's contact. Both Chloe and Theodore, without anyone to help them, are likely leading a very pressed life. According to my brother, my in-laws' company is on the verge of bankruptcy. He told me that it's likely to go bankrupt within the year. After divorcing Theodore, I returned to live with my family for a while, healing my wounded heart. Thanks to my brother and parents, I've fully recovered and now live alone near my workplace. Theodore and Chloe no longer have the energy or money to chase after me, but just in case, my new apartment has 24-hour security, ensuring my safety. My brother often visits, worried about me, so I should be fine even in an emergency.
To think, I really can't judge character.
I mused. I never imagined Theodore and Chloe were having an affair. I trusted them completely. Being betrayed by the two closest people hurt me deeply, but now fully recovered, I'm more worried about my poor judgment than angry at them.
Your kindness is your strength. It's necessary to doubt people sometimes, but don't let it extinguish your best quality.
My brother advises. Still, I wonder if I should be more skeptical of people. Well, for now, I'm getting by without issues, and maybe Theodore and Chloe were just exceptions. Freed from the worst husband and in-laws, I live a carefree single life. I'm open to remarrying if the chance arises, but for now, I'm too busy with my own life. Even if I never remarry, I believe I can lead a happy life. What's important is my peace of mind. I won't prioritize marriage for the sake of societal expectations at the expense of my happiness. I'll remember that the person who can value me the most is myself, and I plan to live my life to the fullest.